You're him. The one they call the Baba Yaga. How do I start doing what you do?
Looks like you already have.
Welcome back to the Nerdy Grail, and as you can see here, I got my John Wick HMV Titans of Cult edition. I got my John Wick movies in the background because I have just come back from the cinema after watching the brand new John Wick Universe spin-off movie titled Ballerina, which actually was a really good movie. I was a bit concerned because obviously after watching 4 John Wick movies with Keanu Reeves as the star, you know, finally getting a movie that isn't actually focused on John Wick, I thought could be interesting, might not necessarily work, but I think it works really well. And you follow this new character, Eve Macarro, who actually is really interesting. She's this ballerina assassin. And this whole movie is sort of got the vibes of, it's a revenge plot, basically. Because Eve Macarro is trying to get revenge on someone who came into her home, killed her father, and tried to take her, to convert her to join, essentially, their little assassin group, their cult, really. And so she gets taken in by Winston after her father's death. Yeah, Winston comes back. You get a fair few returning characters from the core John Wick franchise in this. She gets taken in by Winston, who takes her to a new home, who then she gets trained to be this assassin ballerina sort of trained, you know, as a female. She's trained to topple her opponents, whether they are male or female. She's trained to be stealthy. You know, she's trained to think for herself. She's trained to cheat. She's trained to use the environment around her in order to get an advantage over her opponent. It's really interesting. And all through the film, you know, there's loads and loads of fight scenes. This film never has a moment to just calm down. As soon as one major battle has happened, another one's happening. And the choreography in the different moves that's happening, the different weapons that's used, you know, the settings, the nighttime fights, the daytime fights, the fights in the rain, the fights in snowy landscapes. They're running up mountains, they're running through buildings, they're running through the streets. They're using weapons like axes, they're using swords, they're using guns, they're using flamethrowers by the end. It's really good. So if you're a fan of action, you're watching the John Wick franchise, you're going to get plenty of action there. But in particular, you're going to get it a lot here. But obviously, like I said, you do get returning characters, such as Winston, who returns in this, you know, who plays almost a secondary father figure to our main character, Eve, really taking her in and letting her, by the end, stay at the Continental. We do get an appearance, and a few appearances actually, from Keanu Reeves as John Wick himself. In particular, after Eve has gone off the rails and hunting down the person who killed her father, even though she's been ordered not to, they're forced to actually call in John Wick to try and take her down, to try and convince her to stop this mission, because otherwise it could cause the two factions to, you know, cause an all-out war, and that's not what anyone wants, and cause a lot of bloodshed. So you do get a fight scene between John Wick and Eve Macarro, and that is really fun. But John's definitely holding back in that because he doesn't really want to hurt her. He just wants her to leave. In terms of where this film takes place in the John Wick timeline, it supposedly takes place after Parabellum, so it takes place between the 3rd and the 4th movies. And the movie actually does end a bit like what happens at the end of the 2nd movie. Eve Macarro does end up, you know, due to the events of taking down the leader of the organization, taking down the person who killed her father, she does then get a bounty on her head of, I believe it was $5 million. And so she's on the run at the end, a bit like how in the 3rd movie, John Wick is also on the run as he's got a large bounty on his head after the end of John Wick Chapter 2. But yeah, I thought it was really good. The pacing of the film was not too bad. It did drag at times. Like I said, the amount of fight scenes that goes on in this movie does cause you to stop and think a little bit. Like, oh, here we go again. They're fighting again. And it'll be over something small. Like, literally, there's a scene where she's made it to the main village where the rival gang is. And she just literally orders a coffee and then a fight takes out. she stops the fight, and then another fight starts again. She leaves the building, another fight starts. It's a never-ending cycle. But it is really, really good. And like I said, the last probably about 30 to 40 minutes of the movie takes place in the final village of where the main gang is hanging out. And that's when they call John Wick in to try and take her down. But it is an interesting movie, I must admit. In terms of where this places in the John Wick franchise for me, in terms of enjoyment, I would say this is pretty high. Would I recommend going to watch this movie? I definitely would. This isn't going to be a massive review on it. This is just sort of me giving my first initial thoughts, because I think I am going to do a proper John Wick franchise video, and I'll include a proper review of this movie there and then. So this is sort of my rambled thoughts, so do forgive me there. But like I said, this movie overall, pacing, choreography for the fighting is like I said, stunning and fantastic. This is only the second movie in the whole John Wick franchise that my fiancée has actually seen. She's only seen the original John Wick. She hasn't seen Chapter 2, Parabellum, or Chapter 4. But I wanted to show her this because she seemed interested in it. And so we saw it, and we both really enjoyed it as well. You know, it was nice seeing all the returning characters. It was nice getting to have a new main core protagonist. And it was also nice, like I said, to see Keanu Reeves reprise his role as John Wick again. And let's see what happens in the future with, I believe they're planning a John Wick 5. Let's see if that actually comes to be and whether that will be any good. I'm sure it will. I've loved all these films. John Wick is a franchise that I think could go strong forever. I don't think there's really a major fault in the franchise. And I think Ballerina is also pretty good. I mean, you know, what I will say, and me and my fiance said this on the way home in the car, obviously it's titled Ballerina, and the whole point is she's this like ballerina assassin. But they could have implemented that a little bit more into the actual movie in terms of how she fights. Like, she could use some ballerina and ballet dance moves in the way she fights. I get it, she's very stealthy, and she's a bit more lighter on her feet, so a bit more flexible, so I guess that sort of works it in a bit. But I don't know, they just could have incorporated it a little bit better. I think maybe they could have toned down some of the intensity of some of the fight scenes, because there was a lot. There was constantly stuff going on. And I think some things needed explaining a little bit more. But there was also another plot line in the background of, at the start, her father telling Eve when she was younger about her sister, and Eve saying that she wished she knew her better. And then we find out that her sister is actually working for her father's killer, and they sort of reunite at the end to have a mini conversation, a mini fight, and then unfortunately the sister doesn't make it. I think they sort of rushed that a little bit and brushed that to one side, whereas they could have explored that better, and they could have had a scene where the sister actually converts to Eve's side, and then maybe if you want to get her killed off, then you could have done that, because she could have had a redemption arc. But it just seemed a bit forced and rushed, if I'm being perfectly honest. So I don't really know why they bothered to implement that. You could have just had Eve herself. But yeah, no, overall, I quite enjoyed it. Where would I rate it in terms of giving it a rating out of 10? I would say it's not the strongest of the John Wick franchise, but it's still an enjoyable movie. So I'm going to give this movie a 7 out of 10. I did enjoy it. I have already put my pre-order for it, and I definitely will be watching it again when it comes out on physical media. But that is my quick and little bit of a rambly review on Ballerina. I hope you did enjoy this video. If you did, please like it by giving it a thumbs up, and comment down below, have you seen Ballerina, and what do you think of it? And stay tuned, because I will definitely do a John Wick whole franchise discussion video at some point in the future. But this is the Nerdy Grail signing off. I hope you've had an amazing day, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye for now, everyone.